Good morning, viewers. Welcome to Women Now. Today we are going to talk about a very sensitive subject. Can anybody guess over here what could be a very sensitive subject? About women, about workforce,
I was
about
going to say
men.
something about women.
Something about women. Is it about gender equality?
Gender equality and plus women working in a man's world, it's always not easy because men out there obviously not realizing, knowingly, unknowingly, do a lot of things to women and their minds at work, which is not always very conducive. So how do you tackle such situations? I think each one of us will remember one incident that was not very happy for us. Let's start with Shobna. Come on, you are gorgeous and you work at Cisco, which is obviously, I think, 80% men. How do you handle that? I mean, what do you do when men come to you and say, hey, you're cute?
Yeah, so for me, there's been multiple incidents, just like any other women in workforce. You know, there's always things that happen that you're not the most comfortable with. And for me, the first time I went up stage and tried to present a technical topic, and obviously the audience was 99% plus male, right? And it was male dominated. And they didn't say anything, but just the looks, they kind of look at you and all over, and you're just like awkward.
I know,
right?
and they're like, is she going to speak?
Yeah.
Can she also
They're
do a
already
presentation?
judging. They're already judging
I know the
just
feeling.
when you
Yes.
get on stage. So
Yeah.
I used to feel very intimidated in the beginning. And then I realized maybe it is something that I had to work on to kind of say, so what? I'm here to talk about something, and I have substance to talk about. So I used to just ignore. But yes, it was definitely not the most comfortable thing. There are comments being passed, notes being put on your cube. You don't know who it is from one guy. And so it's not the easiest thing to tackle.
Well, how do you tackle that? I mean, does it help if you put like your husband's picture on the cubicle, like a huge, maybe a kind of clone out there? Hey, I am married.
I don't
Does
know.
that
I
help?
don't know if that stops. And sometimes it just doesn't register. Even, you know, you're in a meeting room, you're in other places, people don't know you well. And especially sales guys who just travel all around. They come, they meet you, they don't know nothing about you, but they're already asking you for dates and making comments. So,
Well, it's more like a harassment. Uma, what about you? Do you have any memory?
Yes, actually, I do want to say back when I was working in India, I had the most unpleasant experience. And it is, I was unmarried, and of course, we were looking for a husband. And as it happens in India, you go meet a guy, your parents select somebody, and then you go meet the person. And so sometimes it would happen that I would have to miss the company event in the evening because I had to go meet somebody as a prospective groom. And the management was not supportive of that, and it's a fact that a girl is at a marriageable age and she needs to get married, and the society, the way it was at that time, was that we would look through arranged marriage. But the management was not supportive of that, and it was very uncomfortable. And they would know why I am not coming to the event in the evening is because I have to go somebody. And I think one time my SVP commented about that in front of the whole office, and I think probably I was the one and the only person in the whole office who actually raised my voice, and I told him, it is my personal life and you do not have a say in it. And it was very unpleasant. He was shocked. He never expected a woman to talk back, because in India the hierarchy level is as such that you cannot talk back.
Right.
Whatever it is, you have to say, yes sir, I'm trying to do my best, sir. You're not supposed to, you're not encouraged to talk back.
It makes me think that, you know, probably there's a myth amongst men, not to sound sexist,
No,
Manish, please pardon me if
No,
I'm
no,
doing,
please.
and I
It's
don't
great.
want to
It's a great
generalize,
discussion. No, it's good.
I don't want to generalize, it beats the heck out of me, I don't want to generalize, but there are men who think that women like us, who dress up, who, you know, try to look good, do it for men. Hello, no. We don't do it for men. We dress up to look good ourselves, feel good ourselves, because if you look good, you feel good. And that's probably the reason we do that. And it kind of gives a very different message. Men think, oh, she dresses up, means, you know, she's looking for a date and all that. She's available. And, you know, this notion of women being available. And constantly connecting women with men at workforce is something that is so derogatory and very harmful to a lot of women to work effectively and move on. I mean, Manish, you being a guy, why don't you say if you've had any experience?
The reverse way?
I don't know. Maybe you passed a comment at a woman who slapped you. Did it ever happen?
Oh my God, no. I'd like to think that was more appropriate.
So you know what? I'm going to speak on Manish's behalf. He is our co-worker and he is an awesome person to work with. He's very sweet. Especially Manish, me and you, we worked very closely during India Now. And there was so much chaos going on, but he's such an awesome person. It's so comfortable to work with him.
Hey, did you pay her by
No,
any
not
chance?
at all.
I think
No,
there's
no,
something right here under the table.
No, I
it's a mutual admiration.
It is. I think that's where the other thing too is. So on one hand, yes, there might have been some people there, or there might be some people there that are looking at you going, wow, you know, she's attractive or whatever. But that doesn't mean every guy is, and that's a fact. I think it's an individual thing, like you know, for each person. So you could have it go the other way too. You know, I've worked pharmaceutical industry, and in pharmaceutical industry, the female sales reps were extremely attractive. That was just something that was either by chance or by design.
No, I think that is by design.
It's by design.
The
By
sales,
design.
yes,
But I
it's a
think
main
that,
criteria.
and we worked alongside with them. So I would hear of them going to physicians' offices where they were made to feel extremely uncomfortable, and sometimes it was something that they felt that was real, and sometimes it wasn't. The physician was just like, that's just the way he was. He was friendly, and somehow the friendly behavior was taken that, oh, he's making sexual innuendo, or he's, you know, making an advance towards me, but it was just a friendly nature. So I guess the question comes down is that how do you define it unless it's not blatant?
No,
right?
actually the fact remains still is that a lot of women are, that's why, very uncomfortable going to a lot of situations, like she said, about making presentation, about making a call, because you know that person's not nice and all that works in. And a man can very happily bond with a co-worker or maybe even a boss. Nobody will raise a brow, right? But when a woman is bonding with her boss, it is supposedly maybe something's going on. I mean, this norm has to break. Someone has to wake up and say, hey, if a guy can bond with a guy at workforce, why can't a woman bond with a guy at workforce and be equally okay about it? And there need not be kind of something going on and get attached to lots of gossips and stories and all of that, because that is very, very detrimental. And my fight is all about, you know, people connect you with names, but actually it is for some professional gain or some saucy story that they do that. It has nothing to do with who that person likes.
But now look at the Valley now, you know, in all of our adventures through our show and meeting different people and entrepreneurs, we're meeting a lot of women in a lot of powerful places here.
Right.
I mean, you're role models and, you know, ramp models, that whole event that you do. Look at the caliber and the credentials of all the women that are coming through. Now, chances are each one of those women has a man working for them. So my question is then on the reverse, how's it taken when the man's trying to be chummy with the CEO or the boss or the manager? Is he being seen as being flirtatious, or is it?
Hey, the same thing applies.
So it's kind of it's a very tough situation.
There's a line between sensual and sexual. You don't have to look sexual to attract. You can be sensual. So I do have a problem with that, which we'll take on in a whole different show.
Yeah, no,
for now, that's all the time that we have. We will continue this conversation again.
You're watching America's first South Asian TV talk show. Don't go away. Women Now will be right back.
We all come to this country with a dream. We all want to live the American dream. It's not an easy road, though. We are going to talk to someone who came to this country as an ordinary man and just not living the American dream, but the Indian dream too. And he's none other than Viren. Viren, so glad to see you here in our studio today. How are you doing?
Good. Thank you, Ina, to be here.
So tell me how you came to this country. Let's go back to your childhood. When you were growing up, what did you think to become like? Did you always have a dream to come to US and live the American dream? What was it like?
I mean, you know, growing up, you know, during school days, you always heard America is a land of opportunity, you know, always wanted to come to this country. Definitely got an opportunity back in 1996, about 17 years back. Came through a consulting company on a H-1B, used to do a lot of programming on mainframe back then, which used to be COBOL DB2 CICS. Worked for about a couple of years in Salt Lake City, moved to the Valley, Silicon Valley in October of 98. Everything was really, moving so fast here. Joined a...
this was year 99, you said?
1998, October
Okay.
of 1998.
Okay.
Joined
Things
a
were like booming that time.
Things were really booming in the Silicon Valley. Joined a consulting company, basically heading their operations and kind of built that to about 150 people in 18 months. That kind of gave me a lot of confidence. Maybe I would say a little bit of overconfidence. I thought I could do wonders. So basically left that and started a startup with a few of my friends in 2000.
To taking that leap of faith and starting your own company, how did you think about doing that?
I mean, it was a very tough decision. I was making a lot of money that time. And, you used to go to all these Thai functions and you heard, this guy's worth 100 million, this guy's worth 500 million, this startup is doing great. Was very, very, motivating as well as exciting. It was a tough step, but I did take that plunge. And little did I realize that there was a lot of my overconfidence that made me take that step. And, back in between 2000 and 2001, worked on that startup and it kind of failed miserably. And
so failure obviously had something to do with your success today. So it's the highs and the lows that you've lived, and the reason that we're talking to you today is to learn a lot from the failure and what you learned from that.
I mean, I would definitely say that one learns more from the failure than the success because, the failure teaches you things that normally you wouldn't learn, right? I mean, like things like I put all my savings in the company and when the company failed, I had nothing to go back to. So basically hadn't saved anything for the rainy day, had put everything at stake and, was very, very tough time, almost was on the verge of going back to India.
So here is that night when you really wanted to take a flight next day and go back to India, and you're thinking to yourself that, hey, I should not go back to India, and you woke up next morning and you fought back. Tell me what happened then.
So basically, that's when, as I said, I didn't want to go back to India as a failure, and I said I need to go and do something else. And I'd also raked up some debts on my credit cards. So basically, I said I got this huge pile of debts on my credit cards. If I work here, get paid, it's going to take me all my life to get rid of these debts on my credit cards. I had over $100,000 on my credit card debts.
Wow.
And basically, quickly, I said, what are my strengths? So I went back. I said, back in October of 98 and between early part of 2000, I built this successful consulting company that I was heading. And I said, I need to go back and do that. So I started ISTS in early part of 2002. Everybody said you're a crazy man because everybody was closing shop in the Valley, and I was starting the company. But I said, look, I'm going to do it, and that's where I quickly realized. I said, one should never give up in life because if you keep trying, you're going to be successful one day, and I've lived that experience. So I want to tell everybody that if you feel something, keep trying till you succeed. And, honest hard work will get you to success one day.
We were talking about luck. I said, Viren, you were lucky. And you said, Hina, it's not luck. It is, what did you say it was?
No, it was like, you have to be ready for the, when the opportunity comes, right? So fortunately, we were ready. We had the right mindset as a company. We were doing the right things. We kept doing the right things up until that point. And yeah, definitely, Bridge Bank came through. There was a big, turning point in our
And how
career.
did you restart it with the money you said you had to pay?
So
the
basically,
payroll?
we had to meet the payroll obligation for 20,000. We met that, and then from there we grew the company, and with that the Bridge Bank grew our line of credit, and so it was just basically with Bridge Bank money wasn't an issue, and we could just continue to focus on our business, and they, as I said, increase our line of credit whenever we needed it.
Now, I'd really want to know from you, with all that stress, you have payroll to meet, you have debt, you have a business to grow. With all that stress in your mind, how did you keep your calm and how did you handle all of that? I mean, you obviously come across as a very calm person, but what were you telling your mind at that time when you were faced with so many adversities?
Oh, you forgot, I also had a my first son in 2003. So in 2004, he was also, the family was there in the picture. But, whenever I came home, I would spend some time with my boy, and that was a major stress buster then for me.
We'll be right back with more from Viren and what you did thereafter, because it's interesting, because from 2004 to now, you have quite turned around and did a lot for yourself and a lot of other people. So we'll talk about that life of yours when we come back.
Sure.
Welcome back, viewers. We're delighted to have you here with us and Viren, and joined by Uma, because Uma, you chose him to be the hero of the month.
Yes, we are really privileged to have Viren on our show. Viren, without saying much, you have accomplished so much as a person in business. And not only that, you have accomplished so many things in your business, like you were talking to Anna, you've overcome so many hurdles starting your company. Now you are giving back to the country. You are giving back to the community.
Before we go to the coming and giving back, let's go back to where we were talking about your company that came about, then finally being very successful. What happened next?
So basically, we quickly realized as a small company, we needed to provide value to our customers, which is also equally important. We started focusing on the retail and payment technologies, and that kind of, gave us a niche, gave us big brand name customers, and we grew, in leaps and bounds. In fact, in 2007, we were the 25th fastest growing private company in the United States.
Now, what was your differentiator? I mean, there must have been many people trying out in that space. What made you different?
I think, for us, our people, the team was very, very important. I always believed in hiring the smart people and staying out of the way, because that's the other, thing that I've seen a lot of entrepreneurs not able to do that. They're able to hire smart people, but they're not able to stay out of their way. So basically, when you hire someone who's smarter than you, you have to just stay out of the way and let them do their job. So that was also kind of the other mantra that helped, our company really, we were able to get the right people and, stay out of the way and take care of them.
Now, there's a lot to learn from this whole experience that we just talked about, but to just, hone down to a few important points about the company, and when do you really know to sell it, and how long before when the company is profitable, and all of that. Can you guide our budding entrepreneurs and people in your space as to what are some of the right things to do, because you have done it so well?
I mean, basically, one, as I said, you need to be able to provide some value to your customers, because any prospective buyer is going to see, do you have value in the company or not, right? And, you can't build a company just to say, okay, I'm going to sell it, right? You continue to do the right things, you continue to do the right things for your people, your clients. And then, along the way, if you're doing the right things, offers would come. And then, at that point, you can make a choice whether the 1 + 1 = 11 theory would hold good in this kind of, transaction, and you do that evaluation, and once you do that, then you can go ahead and,
So Viren, I wanted to ask you, before you were acquired by Clear to Pay, were you already in multinational countries, or were you still confined in the US? Did you get the world exposure with the clients?
So, if you looked at the name that I had given the company at the time of founding, it was ISTS Worldwide, so I always wanted it to be a global company. When we merged with Clear to Pay, we were in US, we had an office in Europe, in Paris, and 2 offices in India. So we had globally 4 offices. And
so
we were
what
in the
about the
process
global culture of working? Was that kind of a challenge for you at any time, working with different countries?
It's always a challenge. It's, having multiple offices across the globe is always a challenge. But as I said, the key always was, for us to hire the right people and just, stay out of the way.
Your mantra of hiring the best people and staying out of the way, does that apply to all the different countries that you went? Because back in India, it's a lot of guided work. Employees are not given that much of freedom. They are confined in the role that has been prescribed, and that is what, there is an expectation, and that is what you are supposed to do. You cannot explore. So did you...
No, we applied that mantra across the globe, in Paris, in India. In fact, as I said, our retention rate in India was actually, 3 to 4% because of that. Because people loved, doing, things that they wanted to do, and not being, as you said, restricted to one particular role or one particular job.
Going back to helping, I know you are working very actively with Literacy India, and you also have your own Janta TV network in India. I mean, that is huge. I mean, who would in their mind think of moving from US back to India and serving, community people, back in Haryana, which is a tough market to break into, and you have your own network over there. And literacy. Tell us more about that.
So I've been always on the board of advisors of Literacy India. It is a non-profit organization that works for the underprivileged children education and also for the women. So basically it provides opportunities for the women to make their livelihood, women who are poor or widows, and they can make money and then run their household. And today when we started, this was started by Captain Indrani Singh, the first woman commercial pilot of Asia, a very passionate lady. And she started with about 20 students in 1997. And today we have about 5,000 students, underprivileged kids that we provide education to across Haryana, Delhi and West Bengal.
So for all of this, Viren, we would love to honor you with our Hero of the Month award. And
thank you.
This has been a complete pleasure and an honor talking to you. And I wish there are more Virens coming along and helping the community through your hard work, passion and all of that.
I think we should all try and give back whatever we can little to the society, either it's in terms of time, money, or other efforts, whatever we can do, we should always do it.
Well, that's very important because even if there is no money, people can give their time. And there are many opportunities out here in the Bay Area and in Silicon Valley that you can devote your time to and fulfill your heart. Thank you so much for joining us here at Women Now. We'll see you next week, same time, same place. If you have any ideas about what you want to see on the show, write to us at info@womennow.tv and we'll make sure we bring that segment to you. Thank you.